course, with EQ, the first tip, and honestly, you probably know this, but I want to really harp on it because it's very, very important. I feel like some people just don't think it's important. What is good? Icy's Beats here in the studio once again. Today I want to talk about 3 ways to utilize EQ in your mix. I'm going to give you 3. There's plenty of other ways and tips and tricks I can teach you in terms of EQ. But these 3, I feel like they're most important. I use them every day, and it's going to allow your beats, your mixes to get to another level. That's what we want, right? That being said, if you're new to making music or you've been making music for a long time and you're trying to get in the door with big companies, you're trying to get in the door with big artists, you're trying to get your beats to slap on all of your speakers, on any kind of speaker, whether you're in the car, the phone, it doesn't matter. And you want to get access to the best sounds and the best tools that I use, tap into the Pro Producer Workshop. It's absolutely free. This is an amazing workshop, and giving it away just for just so you can check it out, utilize it, and ultimately profit from it, so you can make money, tap in, be a better music producer, make better beats, and just be a better person. Period. To be real with you, so tap into this workshop. Link is right here. Let's get to the video. Okay, so I have a super dope beat pulled up. I made this beat with the bro Tony. He had a really cool episode of 4 Producers, 1 Sample. So I made a beat. This was a while ago, but this is a great project we can use, so I can show you and kind of break down what I'm talking about in terms of EQ. So the first thing, of course, with EQ, the first tip, and honestly, you probably know this, but I want to really harp on it because it's very, very important. I feel like some people just don't think it's important. EQ out your low frequencies, okay? So that's a given. I know it's a given, but I think a lot of producers, me included, forget to EQ out lows on my melodies or certain sounds. I don't think it's really relevant. And it does, the more you can EQ out those low frequencies, the better you can get your 808 to hit, your kick to hit, the stuff that kind of takes up that lower frequency. So if you could cut low frequencies out as much as possible on every drum sound or every sound you have in your mix, it's going to help significantly. All right, so we have this sound here. It is I don't even know what it is, a string instrument. So I took the EQ off that I originally had on it. I'm gonna go ahead and add one now, okay? And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about cutting the low frequencies out. And let's look at the EQ and see exactly what's going on. So as you can tell, there's really not too much. Let me cut that off, my bad. As you can tell from the equalizer, there's not much going on in the low frequency, right? Not too much. So that's good. That's good. We know that there's not a lot going on. My suggestion, go ahead and get that first band and just cut that low out. And what I do is I kind of pull back too far, and I kind of go further than I need to, and I pull it back. That way I can get the best sound. Because one thing you don't want to do is make your sound thin. You don't want it to be thin unless you're intentionally trying to do that, which in this case I'm not. So cool rule of thumb too, you can just do type and do high pass and see how it kind of sticks up like that. You can just hover over one and just scroll up, boom, and that kind of creates a high pass filter, or high pass shelf, I should say. All right, so like I said, let's go ahead and pull it back a little bit further than we need to, right? And let's pull it back until we get what we want. That's it. I like it. That's perfect. Simple as that. So that's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of EQing out the lows. I would definitely recommend just a quick little suggestion. Definitely would recommend having a visual equalizer like this one. I know Pro Tools has, or not Pro Tools, but what's it called? I know Waves has a super dope EQ. That's a visual EQ as well, so you can actually see the frequencies. It looks really dope. I know the stock EQ on FL Studio is really great and it's visual, so I use that most of the time. But yeah, you can use anything you want. You don't have to use a visual. I just would recommend it, but I definitely would not, just lean on visually looking at frequencies. Definitely listen to the frequencies as well. So that's probably the most important part, right? Because music is all sound anyways. So we want to be listening too. We don't want to just be visually seeing, oh, it looks good. It looks good. It's not about it looking good. It's about it sounding good, right? Okay, so the next method or trick that I would suggest with EQ is EQ sweeps, okay? So sweeping, and let me explain exactly what that is. I'll definitely break it down here on the computer as well. But basically, we're going to be sweeping for frequencies that we don't want and cutting them out. It's simple as that. And it's very easy. It doesn't matter what EQ you have. Could be a third party. You can always do a sweep. Find frequencies that are annoying and that you can cut out, okay? The biggest thing is when you cut things out, or when you try to find things to cut out, you want to find things that are consistent, that are consistently there, not frequencies that pop up every once in a while, or that come in and out of the track depending on the melody. You don't want it to just be something you want the sound to be consistently there so you can take it out. That's the sounds we're looking for, right, when we sweep. Okay, so let me go ahead and break it down real quick. Very easy. All we have to do is grab our band, any band. We'll just do 6 for this example. We already have the EQ here. Very simple. So what you want to do is just grab the band and you just use the scroll button, and it'll literally make it smaller. I think this works on other EQs too, the same process. I believe it does. If not, there's other ways of doing it. It's not hard depending on the EQ that you have, right? But either way, we want to get it very thin. We don't want it to be super wide like this. We want it to be thin because we're trying to hone in and find something specific that we need to cut out of the sound. So let's go ahead and play it real quick and sweep and find something. So that's annoying. It's consistent. It's really annoying in my opinion. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Boom. All right. Now, I will say one thing. You don't have to do this with all your melodies. You don't need to sweep and find every wrong thing with the melody. The whole point of a melody is, or having just a realistic melody is it's real. We don't want it to make it to the point where everything is cut and chopped, and that's going to ruin the whole vibe of the beat, right? So don't go through and sweep every single melody and try to find something. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this can be utilized to clean something up. If this melody is if there's something wrong, it really just listen. Like, this is not sounding right. It could be cleaned up. Maybe it's too airy or too, muddy or whatever. This could be a great way to clean up a melody or anything. Could be vocals too. Definitely very, very essential for vocals in my opinion. Definitely good because you want to cut out some of those frequencies. All right, so the third and final tip I want to talk about today is using multiple EQs. This is something I never did for the longest time. I always had additive EQs where I added and boosted stuff and subtracted stuff all in one EQ. Okay, here's why I don't do that. And honestly, why you shouldn't do it with any plugin or anything for that matter, honestly, when it comes to making music. You don't want one plugin doing all the work, all right? You don't want one plugin doing everything. Specifically with the EQ, you don't want the EQ doing additive, subtractive. You want to have them separate so they can work and do, it just works better, I promise you, okay? So give each EQ its designated job. So if one EQ is subtractive, one EQ is additive, that's how I would do it, right? All right, so like I said, I have this subtractive EQ right here, boom, and we're taking frequencies out, right? And then we have additive. I want to add an additive EQ, okay? So we can boost some sounds. And I'm just boosting whatever. It doesn't really matter for the sake of the video, an example. Basically, you want to have 2 of them, right? And I'm going to detach these just so we can see both side by side. Boom. Boom. So now we have the subtractive EQ and the additive EQ, okay? They're doing they're doing their own jobs basically, right? I will say one thing, don't overuse additive EQ. That's just a quick little extra piece, bonus, right? I know there's a bonus at the end, but there's another bonus right here. Don't use additive EQ. I just wouldn't suggest using additive EQ all the time. I don't think it's needed for a lot of stuff. Stuff sounds really good. There's no need to touch it, right? I don't really find it something I do all the time. It's very, rare that I use additive EQ, to be honest with you. But it's really good for vocals. I will say that. When mixing vocals, I think additive EQ is very important. Definitely is needed, and I use it all the time. Okay, so vocals, that's where I use more of additive EQ. Like I said, you can use it for your melodies. There's no rules to the game, so I'm not telling you what you can and cannot do. It's just my suggestion. You can always find great ways to make great mixes, so do you. But in my opinion, I think additive EQ is just over the top sometimes. There's no need for it most of the time. A lot of the sounds sound really great, and it's just a matter of cutting some EQs out, or cutting some frequencies out and getting a clean sound. Here's the bonus tip right here. If you stayed to the end, here it is. You're gonna be able to use this, and it's gonna be great. It's really good when you're mixing, when you're sending these beats to artists. It's good to have this trick up your sleeve and just in the back of your head while you're mixing, so you can honestly get a better mix for that artist, so they can get on it and it can sound even better. Okay, so what you want to do with all of your melodies, honestly, when it comes to your mix in general, you're gonna want to the 1 to 2, 3K range is where artists' vocals sit. All right, that is where their voices sit, give or take. There is some type of range, but that is where they sit. So when you EQ, all right, let me show you real quick. When you EQ, this range, just 1 to 2K, 3K range, is where their voice is gonna be, right? So it's a good rule of thumb when sounds are very present in that area to cut those things down, to cut that sound, duck it down just a little bit, like shown right here. It doesn't have to be like duck down, way down, and it doesn't have to be every melody. Maybe it's just the lead melody or the one that's really prevalent in that range, right? That's the bonus tip right there. That 1 to 3K range, the vocals are gonna sit there. So just keep that in mind when you're mixing and adding, melodies and meshing melodies together. That range is where the pocket is for vocals. All right, so that is the video. It was very short, simple, sweet. I hope you enjoyed the content, and I hope you can apply these tips plus the bonus. Apply it, make great mixes, send them out to artists, send them out to companies. Do what you gotta do, make great beats. That's the whole point of this channel. I'm here for you. I want to go ahead and provide as much value as possible, and I hope you enjoyed the video, truly, honestly. Of course, if you're trying to make music, new to making music, or you're struggling, you're at a standstill with your music, you want to get better resources, better sounds, get your beats elevated so you can get in the door with these companies, get in the door with big artists, tap in, elevate your mindset as a producer, join my Pro Producer Workshop. It's absolutely free. Link down here. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. Peace.